Laura Olbers. I am a junior at Ohio University studying communication sciences and disorders, and I'm from Gloucester, Ohio.
My name is Matthew Brady Ratcliffe. I am a sophomore, going to be a junior actually next quarter, and my major is sociology and criminology and psychology.
My name's Ross Brinkerhoff. I'm a double major in photojournalism and sociology with a minor in Spanish. I'm a senior and I'm from Galilee, Pennsylvania.
My name is Sheena James. I'm from Albany, Ohio, real close to Athens, Ohio. I'm a senior at Ohio University, and I'm a senior doing information, telecommunications, and systems.
My name's Chris Capper. I'm from Willowwood, Ohio, and I'm a senior studying civil engineering.
I'm Chandel, a junior psychology major from Portsmouth, Ohio, in Scioto County, right on the edge of the Ohio River.
My parents are from Nigeria. My mom is from Kaduna. My dad is from Abuja.
My name is Devin Wheeler. I'm a senior pre-med major with a minor in psychology and chemistry at Ohio University, and I'm from Cambridge, Ohio, which is in Guernsey County.
I feel like the stereotypes, one of the major stereotypes is that people from Appalachia are narrow-minded and uneducated and just incapable of bettering themselves.
I think one of the biggest stereotypes of people that live in Appalachia is that we're all mountaineers and live in the hills and, bluegrass and knee-slapping, moonshine.
There's the hillbilly stereotype, the Busch Light drinkers. No one's really educated, or if they are, they kind of went to community college, probably didn't try too hard. There's people really like their guns, farmers, Republicans, that's a good one.
People think they're hicks, they're hillbillies, they're not that educated, and that people don't strive to go to college or strive to better themselves.
People from Appalachia are slow, or that they really just, they don't conform to higher education at all. They stay in their, in their menial labor jobs. They're very, I guess, not worldly. They don't really go past, the local level of news or anything like that.
Coming to college on main campus, you really see the stereotypes that other people have towards people from Appalachia.
White trash, that we all speak with an accent, and don't have any type of education. We all do blue-collar jobs.
I'd have to say the traditional stereotypes, I guess they exist for a reason, like any stereotypes do, but I'd have to say they're widely misrepresented in the actual population. I think over times it seems to have been played up because it's much easier to portray people from a certain area in a certain way rather than, to give them their own unique view like everybody deserves.
I've definitely been affected by it. I've been called things such as racist and been accused of being narrow-minded, against change.
I come from Scioto County, Scioto. It comes out as soda half the time. We definitely have our own little dialect going on. It's interesting. Wolves. It's really hard to say wolves instead of wolves.
I've gotten comments about my accent, especially since I came to college.
I really don't think I've been, stereotyped as Appalachian because, many of the times you don't find African American students in Appalachia or African Americans in Appalachia. Most of the time you wouldn't expect, people from foreign countries to move here and start a life here, but that's what my parents did. So for me it's hard to say that I've been stereotyped into that, but I do think that most of my friends and other people around me have probably suffered more than I have for those certain stereotypes. Other stereotypes that, go straight into African American culture and such, I think that's more affected me growing up than rather stereotypes of Appalachia.
I live in a trailer and I've drank moonshine, but one of my best friends is gay and also loves moonshine, and I really cannot stand twangy music, so some stereotypes may apply to us, but it's not across the board.
Twangy music, especially new country music, I hate it. I don't like it at all, and I'm probably one of most country people, you know, here at OU.
I like twangy music. I grew up with my dad played the fiddle all the time, and he can't really read music, and it might have been twangy or maybe it wasn't, but it definitely sounded, you know, country. And so yeah, I like the twangy music. I'm a fan, not a fan of the racism. I'm a fan of the storytelling. My mom did quilt for a little bit, but there weren't any people to buy the quilts, so she stopped.
Racism, I noticed that a lot, obviously.
I was raised in a house where everyone's equal, everybody has equal rights, and that racism wasn't tolerated.
I have to say, like, the people around me, like, yeah, it was really racist at much younger ages, but I feel like, you know, as people grow and people get to know and people are exposed to different races and different cultures, that tends to disappear fairly quickly. And it doesn't happen over generations. It can happen, you know, within a few years if a wide amount of people are exposed to it.
My dad was raised into an extremely racist family, and while he still tries to get past that, those values did make it through to my brother and to a couple of my cousins.
Racism in my house was non-existent. We were taught all the way through, you know, judge a person by their character and not by the color of the skin or religion or anything, and that's, you know, I feel like that's the way I live my life. I have a lot of friends that are all different races, especially since I came to college.
And then the homophobia, oh, it is so rampant. It's terrible. I kind of came out as partially gay in school, and I had a girlfriend when I was in the 8th grade, and I know she went through a lot of hell in school because she was honest, she was open, and it was tough on her. And then when I got to high school, I didn't let it bother me as much because I was used to discounting what people said. But I know they said a lot, and they still say a lot about it, and it's got to be tough for the people that don't deal with those people in the same way in different aspects.
I guess along the lines of, you know, cowboy boots and, you know, all of the signature Appalachian features that, you know, you can point out from across the street and if you see it around. I'd have to say, yeah, I guess it's a big stereotype, and you could say it's like it's hickish, it's bad, it's way, I don't know, way too old-fashioned. But, you know, if that's the culture that they're ingrained in, then that's fine.
Moonshining. Moonshining's a good one. I know, well, I guess old Taterbug Tyler, who used to make the best moonshine in the county, died, but rumor has it he passed it on to Nathaniel. No one knows for sure, though. It's Nathaniel Whitmore. I know a guy locally that makes some moonshine. Moonshine's not too hard to come by, really.
From watching some shows on TV and stuff, you get the picture that you drive down any Appalachian road and there's going to be 5 old guys drinking out of a jug sitting on the front porch. I mean, you don't see it that often. I didn't see it in high school or anything. So, I mean, it's there, but it's not really as big of an issue as what a lot of people think it is.
Actually, one of my friend's parents actually makes moonshine.
I did know a few people that made it, but it wasn't something that you could go anywhere and find moonshine back in the hills.
Let's see, other Appalachian stereotypes. Abuse. People are just generally like abusive, kind of backwards people, not really into women's rights or, you know, still going to square dances. Drive through Appalachian towns, and if you hear the banjos, go the other way.
Of Appalachian students, I think the stereotype there is that there aren't any Appalachian students, which is very, very kind of hurtful sometimes.
Especially to the students at OU, I would probably just say, don't judge people from Appalachia, students from Appalachia.
I would tell them not to judge a book by its cover. Just because we're from a certain region doesn't mean that everybody is that stereotype. I mean, there's stereotypes about pretty much every race, sex, belief. I mean, just because you're from that area or that society doesn't mean that you fit that stereotype.
Come hang out with us. That's really what I would tell them is, you know, come, like, step outside your comfort zone, go hang out with us, go fishing, like, talk to the people and see what they're actually really about, because there's so much more than what you see.
You know, everyone here isn't a toothless, abusive, poor person who does drugs. I mean, there are toothless, abusive, poor people who do drugs everywhere. They're here too, it's true, like, there is some country music, there are banjos, there might even be some drugs around, like, but there's also really beautiful, amazing people.
There are people that in Appalachian areas that are content to not have any college degree and just live off the government, but for the most part, people do try to make a living for themselves and try to better themselves.
Because I don't feel like I'm the only person that doesn't know about college because their family didn't go to college. And now that I'm here, and almost I graduated in a year, I'm kind of terrified because that means graduate school. And I know even less about graduate school than I know about undergrad. And I know that should have been something that I learned in high school before I made these decisions. And just because somebody's graduating at the top of their class doesn't mean they know what they're getting into. They just need help getting there and making their decisions.
You know, these kids, they're growing up with a much wider perspective than, you know, generations before them. And although culture can be misconstrued as, you know, the culture can be bad or sometimes a little bit too narrow-minded, you have to realize that there are some good things that come with culture too. There's a very overwhelming sense of community in some small tight-knit places. And, you know, these kids, they can go ahead and they can choose to discard the stereotypes and discard, you know, some of these cultural norms that can be seen as bad as they feel because they're the newest generation. You know, as a cultural identity, like their cultural identity holding them back. And I don't think that that should be a problem, really. I think that if given the tools by, you know, the educational system, these kids will succeed just like anybody else and continue to break these stereotypes. And you know what? They can keep the cultural norms that they feel are beneficial to their children and their families.
If you are from Appalachia, you should come join the Appalachian Student Union. We have recently created on OU's campus. It's a great thing. Check out our Facebook page.